The arrival. In the vastness of space, the Cultorians were a peaceful race, content with their small corner of the galaxy. They lived on the lush planet of Thrax, surrounded by vibrant forests and crystal-clear lakes. For centuries, they thrived in isolation, unaware of the conflicts and chaos that existed beyond their system. The Cultorians were a curious species, with a deep respect for knowledge and learning. They had developed advanced technology, but their exploration was limited to their own planet and its moons. One day, a strange signal was picked up by their communication systems. It was unlike anything they had ever encountered before, an intricate pattern of sounds and symbols that seemed to defy their understanding. The Cultorians were intrigued. They gathered their brightest minds to decode the message, hoping to uncover its secrets. Weeks passed, and the signal continued to puzzle them. It was then that the Cultorian Council decided to send an exploration team to the outer edge of their solar system, where the signal seemed to originate. The team consisted of scientists, engineers, and diplomats, all eager to make first contact with whatever sentient beings had sent the message. As their ship approached the source of the signal, they were met with a sight that left them speechless, a colossal structure floating in space, unlike anything they had ever seen. It was a massive space station, its surface covered in strange markings and glowing lights. The Cultorians cautiously approached the station, sending out a message of peace and curiosity. To their surprise, the station responded almost immediately. A voice, deep and resonant, echoed through their ship's communication systems. "We are the humans, explorers of the stars. We come in peace and seek knowledge of the universe. Will you join us in our quest?" The Cultorians were both excited and apprehensive. They had never encountered another intelligent species before, and the idea of collaborating with beings from another world was both thrilling and terrifying. After a brief discussion, the Council agreed to meet the humans and learn more about them. When the Cultorians boarded the human space station, they were greeted by a group of humans, each one wearing a suit that seemed to shimmer in the light. The humans were tall and imposing, but their expressions were warm and welcoming. The Cultorians were struck by the humans' confidence and determination. They exuded an air of strength and resilience that was both awe-inspiring and intimidating. The leader of the humans introduced himself as Captain Aaron Mitchell. He explained that the station was part of a massive exploration fleet sent by the United Earth Federation to seek out new civilizations and form alliances across the galaxy. Captain Mitchell spoke of the challenges they had faced, from hostile alien species to treacherous space anomalies, but he emphasized that the humans had always found a way to overcome these obstacles through ingenuity and cooperation. The Cultorians were impressed by the humans' achievements, but they were also concerned. They had lived in peace for so long that the idea of encountering hostile forces was foreign to them. Captain Mitchell reassured them that the humans did not seek conflict, but they were prepared to defend themselves and their allies if necessary. As the Cultorians and humans continued to talk, they discovered that they had much in common. Both species valued knowledge and exploration, and both were driven by a desire to understand the mysteries of the universe. The Cultorians began to see the humans not as a threat, but as potential allies, partners in a quest for knowledge that could benefit both their civilizations. By the end of their meeting, the Cultorian Council had made a decision. They would join the humans in their exploration of the galaxy, sharing their knowledge and technology in exchange for the protection and guidance of the United Earth Federation. It was a bold move, one that would take the Cultorians far beyond the safety of their homeworld, but they knew it was the right choice. As the Cultorian ship departed from the human space station, they looked back at the massive structure, now a symbol of their new alliance. They knew that their journey had just begun, and that many challenges lay ahead. But with the humans by their side, they felt a renewed sense of hope and determination. The stars were no longer just points of light in the sky. They were the gateway to a new era of discovery and adventure. The threat emerges. The newly formed alliance between the Cultorians and the humans flourished in the months that followed. Together, they explored distant star systems, uncovered ancient ruins, and made contact with several other peaceful civilizations. The Kaltorians quickly adapted to space travel, learning from the humans' vast experience and advanced technology. They even began to develop their own spacecraft, combining their knowledge with the human designs to create vessels that were both elegant and efficient. However, not all was peaceful in the galaxy. Far from the explored regions, a dark force was rising, a race of ruthless conquerors known as the Zarkon. The Zarkon were feared throughout the galaxy for their relentless aggression and their advanced weaponry. They had already decimated several civilizations, leaving nothing but destruction in their wake. The humans had known of the Zarkon for some time, having faced them in several brutal conflicts. Although they had managed to fend off the invaders in the past, the Zarkon were relentless, and their numbers seemed to be growing. Captain Mitchell had kept the threat of the Zarkon from the Kaltorians, not wanting to frighten them before they were ready. But now the time had come to prepare for the inevitable. One day, as the Kaltorians and humans were conducting a routine exploration mission, they received a distress signal from a nearby system. It was a small, uninhabited planet that had recently been surveyed by the humans. The signal was weak and garbled, but the message was clear. The Zarkon had arrived. Captain Mitchell immediately called for a meeting with the Kaltorian Council. He explained the situation to them, outlining the threat that the Zarkon posed not only to their alliance, but to the entire galaxy. The Kaltorians were shocked. They had never encountered such a destructive force before, and the idea of facing the Zarkon in battle was terrifying. But Captain Mitchell was resolute. He assured the Kaltorians that the humans would stand by them, and together they could repel the Zarkon invasion. He emphasized that this was not just a fight for survival, but a fight for the future of their alliance and the safety of countless other civilizations that could fall victim to the Zarkon's wrath. The Kaltorian Council was torn. Some argued that they should retreat, return to Thrax, and fortify their defenses. Others believed that they should stand and fight, trusting in the strength of their alliance with the humans. After much debate, they reached a consensus: they would fight. The Kaltorians knew that they were not warriors, but they were determined to contribute to the defense effort. They offered their technological expertise, working alongside the humans to develop new weapons and defenses that could counter the Zarkon's formidable arsenal. The Kaltorian engineers designed energy shields and advanced targeting systems, while the humans provided the firepower and tactical know-how. As the days passed, the Alliance forces prepared for the inevitable battle. The Kaltorians trained with the human soldiers, learning how to operate the weapons and spacecraft they had helped build. Despite their lack of experience, the Kaltorians were quick learners, and their natural curiosity and adaptability served them well. Finally, the day of reckoning arrived. The Zarkon fleet appeared on the edge of the system, a massive armada of warships bristling with weapons. The sight was intimidating, but the Kaltorians and humans stood ready. They knew that this battle would be the true test of their alliance, a test that would determine the fate of their civilizations. The Zarkon ships advanced, firing their weapons as they closed in on the Allied fleet. The humans and Kaltorians responded in kind, launching a barrage of missiles and energy blasts. The battle was fierce, with both sides taking heavy losses. But the Alliance had one advantage that the Zarkon did not: their unity. The humans and Kaltorians fought side by side, covering each other's weaknesses and capitalizing on their strengths. The Kaltorian shields absorbed the brunt of the Zarkon's attacks, while the human ships delivered devastating counterattacks. The Zarkon, used to overwhelming their enemies with sheer force, were caught off guard by the coordinated defense. Hours passed, and the battle raged on. The Allied fleet was pushed to its limits, but they refused to back down. Finally, after what seemed like an eternity, the tide began to turn. The Zarkon ships, damaged and demoralized, started to retreat. The humans and Kaltorians pressed their advantage, chasing the invaders out of the system. As the last of the Zarkon ships fled, a cheer erupted from the Allied fleet. They had won against all odds. They had defeated one of the most feared forces in the galaxy. The Kaltorians, though exhausted and shaken, felt a surge of pride. They had faced their fears and stood strong, proving that their alliance with the humans was more than just a partnership. It was a bond of friendship and mutual respect that could overcome even the greatest of challenges, the aftermath. The battle against the Zarkon had been won, but the victory came at a heavy cost. The Allied fleet was battered, with many ships damaged beyond repair, and the losses were staggering. Hundreds of lives had been lost, and the Koltorians, who had never known war, were left to grapple with the harsh realities of conflict. In the days following the battle, the Koltorian Council and the human leadership met to discuss the future of their alliance. The Zarkon threat had been a wake-up call, a stark reminder that the galaxy was a dangerous place, and that their peaceful existence on Thrax was no longer guaranteed. They knew that the Zarkon would not stop with one defeat. The invaders would regroup and return, more determined than ever to crush the alliance. The Koltorians were faced with a difficult decision. They could return to Thrax and focus on strengthening their defenses, hoping to hold off any future attacks. Or they could continue to stand with the humans, taking the fight to the Zarkon and ensuring that their enemies could never threaten their homeworld again. The debate was heated. Some Koltorians argued that they had already done enough, that they had proven their worth in battle and should now focus on protecting their own people. Others believed that retreating would only invite further aggression from the Zarkon, and that the only way to secure lasting a new path. As the dust settled from the battle against the Zarkon, the Koltorians found themselves at a crossroads, grappling with the scars of war and the uncertain future that lay ahead. The decision before them was more complex than simply choosing between defense and offense. It was a question of identity. The Koltorians had always been a peaceful, introspective people, valuing knowledge and harmony above all else. The encounter with the Zarkon had shaken this foundation, forcing them to confront a darker side of existence they had never anticipated. While the Koltorian Council debated their next steps, a group of young Koltorian scholars proposed an alternative path, a way to use their strengths without compromising their core values. They suggested focusing on diplomacy, seeking out other peaceful civilizations, and forming a vast network of alliances that could stand united against the Zarkon and any other threats that might arise. This would not be an alliance built on military might alone, but on shared knowledge, culture, and mutual protection. This proposal intrigued both the Koltorians and the humans. The scholars argued that while the Zarkon were powerful, they were also isolated, feared by many but allied with none. If the Koltorians could unite enough civilizations under a common cause, they could create a force far greater than any one species could muster alone. This coalition of worlds, as they called it, would be a beacon of hope and stability in an otherwise chaotic galaxy. Captain Aaron Mitchell, still recovering from the wounds of battle, listened intently as the scholars presented their plan. He recognized the wisdom in their words. The humans, too, had always been explorers at heart, driven by a desire to connect with others rather than conquer them. He saw in the Koltorians' vision a way to expand their alliance into something far more profound, a chance to build a future where diversity and cooperation were the true sources of strength. The Koltorian Council, after much deliberation, agreed to pursue this new path. They would not abandon their military preparedness. After all, the Zarkon was still a looming threat, but they would devote equal energy to this grand diplomatic initiative. The humans, too, pledged their support, offering their ships and crews to help spread the message of unity and cooperation across the stars. The Coalition of Worlds. The formation of the Coalition of Worlds was a monumental task, one that required patience, diplomacy, and the willingness to embrace the unknown. The Koltorians and humans began by reaching out to the civilizations they had already encountered during their explorations, proposing a summit where leaders from across the galaxy could gather and discuss this bold new vision. The summit was held on a neutral planet, a lush world untouched by war or industry, where representatives from dozens of species convened. The atmosphere was tense at first. Many of these civilizations had their own histories of conflict, mistrust, and fear. But the Kultorians, with their natural gift for communication and empathy, helped to ease the tensions. They spoke of their own transformation, from an isolated world to a key player in the galaxy's future, and they invited others to join them on this journey. The humans played a crucial role as well, sharing stories of their encounters with the Zarkon and other dangers, and emphasizing the power of unity in the face of adversity. Captain Mitchell, who had become a respected figure among the Kultorians and other species, spoke passionately about the need to build bridges, not walls, and to create a galaxy where every civilization had a voice and a place. Over the course of several weeks, the summit attendees began to find common ground. Old grievances were set aside, and new friendships were forged. The idea of the coalition took root, and by the end of the summit, a formal agreement was signed. The Coalition of Worlds was born, a union of civilizations committed to peace, mutual defense, and the sharing of knowledge and resources. The Zarkon's return. The news of the coalition spread quickly, reaching even the farthest corners of the galaxy. For the Zarkon, this new alliance was an affront to their ambitions of domination. Their leaders saw the coalition as a direct threat to their power, and they began to prepare for a renewed assault, more vicious than before. The coalition, however, was ready. The Kultorians and humans had spent months fortifying their defenses, but more importantly, they had woven together a network of allies who were now willing to stand together against the Zarkon. Each member of the coalition contributed what they could. Some provided military support, others offered technological innovations, and still others shared their expertise in areas like medicine, communication, and strategy. When the Zarkon finally launched their attack, they were met not by a single isolated fleet, but by a united front of ships and forces from across the coalition. The battle was intense, with the Zarkon's superior firepower initially giving them the upper hand. But the coalition had something the Zarkon did not: a deep commitment to one another, and a belief in the strength that comes from unity. The Kultorian diplomats worked tirelessly even during the battle, coordinating efforts, relaying crucial information, and negotiating with neutral systems to provide additional support. The humans, alongside their coalition allies, led the charge in the front lines, employing daring tactics and leveraging the unique strengths of each allied species. In the end, it was not sheer force that won the day, but the combined ingenuity and resolve of the coalition. The Zarkon, realizing that they could not break this alliance, were forced into a retreat. This time, the coalition did not pursue them in anger, but instead sent a message offering peace should the Zarkon choose to lay down their arms and join the galactic community as equals. A new era. The defeat of the Zarkon marked the beginning of a new era in the galaxy. The Coalition of Worlds, forged in the fires of war, became a beacon of hope for countless civilizations. The Kultorians, once an isolated and peaceful people, had found their place in the galaxy, not as conquerors, but as diplomats, scholars, and advocates for peace. The humans, too, found a renewed sense of purpose. No longer driven solely by the need to protect their own, they became leaders in this new era of cooperation, using their experience and resilience to guide the coalition through the challenges that lay ahead. As the galaxy settled into this new equilibrium, the Kultorians and humans continued to explore the stars, not just in search of knowledge, but in search of new friends and allies. They knew that the journey was far from over, but they also knew that they would face whatever came their way together. And so, the Coalition of Worlds grew, a living testament to what could be achieved when different species set aside their differences and worked together for a common goal. The Kultorians, who had once feared the unknown, now embraced it with open arms, knowing that with their friends by their side, they could face any challenge and build a brighter future for all.